And welcome back, everybody. Good afternoon. I hope everyone's having a wonderful weekend. Wanted to do a brief video just kind of honoring the Hall of Fame inductees that are happening right now as I'm filming this here on Sunday the 24th. Before I begin, I just wanted to kind of remind people, if they haven't been watching already, that ESPN is doing a series on Derek Jeter. 7 episodes. They've gone through 2 episodes so far, unless I missed one. And just really enjoying it. I also found out that I kind of expected his stuff to have an increase, similar to like the Michael Jordan stuff did after the Last Dance documentary. I'm not seeing the same increase, even though the interest I think maybe is there, but the prices just aren't what they were during the height of the pandemic, which is good for buyers. This is not a bad time to pick up stuff for Derek Jeter because there's a lot of inventory available out there. So you might be able to get a card that you had been looking at, trying to find for a while, but just wasn't available at a price maybe you're comfortable with because there's so many buyers out there that possibly the item you're looking at doesn't have such a hyper focus as it might have on other times. The case in point is the one right in front of you. I just picked this one up the beginning of this week and it got delivered on Friday. I've been looking to be able to get the Diamond Anniversary Derek Jeter card from 2011 Topps for a little while, and at least in like a PSA 9 holder. They had one go up, I believe it was on Probstein, expired on Monday evening, and I was able to win it at a price far less than what things are actually listed as buy it now. These are really cool cards, I think, just because of the Diamond Anniversary finish on there. It goes well with the Cognac one that I already have, and I just wanted to kind of mention that since we are in Hall of Fame induction weekend. All right, so I pulled some cards out from 5 of the 7 inductees. 2 of them I don't have anything for, and these are the guys that played a long time ago at the early part of last century, including Bud Fowler, who was African-American player who was born in 1858 and died in 1913. So you imagine if there are cards out there, they're probably really scarce, if at all, because he really wasn't able to play in like organized white baseball for very long, even though he's kind of credited as maybe being one of the earliest known African-American players in organized baseball before, obviously, it was kind of more or less excluded from the game over a short period of time during that early part of the last century. So, I mean, he's definitely credited with a lot of different kind of being a trailblazer within the sport of baseball. I think there are autographs out there that you could purchase of his, but they're pretty scarce and extraordinarily expensive. And you're lucky if they're ever come to market to be able to purchase. So that's one Hall of Fame item I'm not going to probably be able to get, but wanted to be able to kind of just mention him for sure as one guy that's being honored this weekend. Another one is Buck O'Neil. Buck O'Neil, my memory of him is because of the Ken Burns baseball documentary, as so many of us, probably of my age, kind of got introduced to him. Just a wonderful storyteller, but that was just like the tip of the iceberg of his contributions to the game. Obviously was an ambassador for the game thereafter, especially the Negro Leagues, which he was a player and manager for many years and actually went on to be a major league scout for many years for the Chicago Cubs. I'm happy to see him finally in there. There are cards available out there of him. Not playing day cards, but stuff that Topps did over the years, including some autographs that he signed. So that would be a cool one to be able to pick up, but his stuff had a huge increase recently when it got put into the Hall of Fame or when his name was being mentioned for the Hall of Fame. So his autographs at the moment are not very inexpensive to be able to pick up, but at some point I'd like to be able to add Buck O'Neil to the collection. He's been gone for a few years now. He passed away in 2006, was born in 1911. And if you've not seen the baseball documentary by Ken Burns, you need to, just because he's really the star of it by far. Just great passion for the game, beautiful cadence in his voice. Just, you couldn't help but not be carried away by kind of the stories he was telling. All right, well, let's kind of talk about the 5 that I do have cards for. Just want to kind of do this video this weekend just to honor these 5 individuals going in, because it's such a special place. If you've never been to Cooperstown, I'd highly recommend it. I went there in the fall of 2018. Still have great memories of it to this day. I'm going to start with one of the more modern players that's being introduced, because most of these guys are actually got voted in from the various veterans committees, is David Ortiz. So I don't have a lot of David Ortiz cards. At this point, I do have cards from my complete set, so I'm not pulling those out to show you. And I haven't necessarily picked up a graded card of his yet to kind of add to my graded card Hall of Fame collection. Obviously, they only has a couple cards from 97, and they're all in Fleeter products, and they're kind of expensive at the moment, just because those are the only ones you can get, and there wasn't a lot of graded stuff out there. At the time, his demand went really high, so at some point, I think it'll level off as people put more stuff in for submission. But I have two. These are the two I have that I want to pull out. It's the first Bowman card that he had, although it's not his rookie, but it's his second year baseball card, if you will, but his first Bowman card, and this is the international foil version. These were not terribly uncommon, but they're not like the base card. This is a version of the base card. So I got Big Papi there, and then I also have his 2001 Topps Gold. All with the Twins, oddly, so not the team he's really been famous for, and this one's numbered out of 2001. So I'll just put Big Papi off in the corner as one of our 5 guys here. I don't have the Baseball Network, so I don't get a chance to listen to the speeches today, but I'm sure his is probably pretty entertaining as well. I'm going to honor now first of 2 Minnesota Twins that are going in, and that's Tony Oliva. So we got Tony Oliva going in. Career WAR of just 43, but I don't think that really speaks to just the player he was, since much of the last part of his career he was playing with pretty bad knees. And lost a lot of his speed. But this is a guy who was really important in the early part of the game in the 1960s, was Rookie of the Year, frequently an MVP candidate, and an All-Star every year from 64 all the way through 71, and really helped carry Minnesota to the Twins, their first World Series appearance when they moved to Minnesota, even though they lost that series. But he was one of the key people on that team, and was through the early parts of the 1970s as well. So I got 2 cards. This is not his rookies. This is actually his second year card, but he's also on one of these dual cards that you see where you actually see 2 different players on it. I don't know who Jay Ward is, but I definitely know who Tony Oliva is. Tony Oliva had a career batting average of 304, which is pretty cool, and much of that is because it actually dropped off in like the last 5 years of his career. Before then, he was well over that number of 300. And then I got that autograph from Topps Heritage, I think I've shown before, that I got from a box a few years ago when I opened it up on my birthday. So I'll put Tony Oliva out here in the corner in there. So now we have Jim Cott. Got a few cards for him. He's the next player I wanted to kind of point out. His career WAR was just over 50. But he had 283 victories and an ERA of 3.45. So he actually was a pretty solid pitcher for much of the 1960s into the early 70s. Did play for the White Sox for a little while too, and also for the St. Louis Cardinals, so my 2 favorite teams. Towards the end of his career, he was mostly like a middle reliever and spot starter, but he was still quite a heavy contributor on like the teams of that era that he was actually with, including even the World Series team of 1982 with the St. Louis Cardinals. But he's mostly known as a Minnesota Twin because he played there starting before they even left Washington in 1959, and then played with them continuously until 1973 when he got moved on. So that's really the team he's kind of noted for. I have Oliva and Jim Cott cards from 67 onward in binders in my complete set, but I'm not pulling those out. So I just wanted to kind of pull out a few cards I had of him. First of all, it's just an autograph. I picked up of his like just after he got inducted. It's not the cleanest autograph in the world. It's on his 1962 Topps card. But still, autograph of a Hall of Famer that I got at a pretty good price. I have a hard time being able to debate that. Got his 61 Topps card, so this would actually be his second card that was put out. First one, I think, fully, if I'm not mistaken, in a Minnesota Twins uniform, because his rookie actually has him with the Washington Senators right before they left. This one I'll probably send in to just kind of have encapsulated at some point, even though I know it's not going to grade out very high. But his rookie cards jumped a lot, especially graded copies of this one after he got inducted. Here we go. And it was kind of an undervalued card out there for a long time of somebody that, like, here's a vintage card of somebody that probably is going to get in the Hall of Fame at some point. And it really would have behooved most collectors to try and pick this up when they could. In fact, I think I got that for a couple bucks about 20 years ago. So it's been in my collection ever since. So we got Jim Cott. Then I'm going to move on to a guy that the Veterans Committee had looked at a few times but hadn't elected in, even though the groundswell continued to grow for him each and every time he's being reviewed. And that's Gil Hodges. Gil Hodges obviously has been gone for many years. He was a longtime player, missed some time because of the major leagues, because he was in World War II, but then played pretty much continuously for the Dodgers as they moved also into Los Angeles until '61 when he came back then with New York and played parts of 2 seasons for the New York Mets. I have, again, all of his manager cards. I think I may have every single one of them, unless there was maybe one in '64 that I don't have. So I have, with him, the Washington Senators as the manager. Not a great team whatsoever. But he is famous within New York for being the manager of the Miracle Mets. So his legacy just will always be there and tied with that team. Here's also from '65. Love that beautiful pennant on there with those cards. And then I picked this one up when I found out he was getting elected, the 1953 Bowman colored card of him. I was looking at a few different cards of his, trying to figure out which one I wanted to be able to pick up, and I thought the Bowman color was awesome. I think it is one of the few images not taken at the Polo Grounds or at Yankee Stadium, but this was actually at the Ebbett Field. And it's pretty cool because you can see the advertisement for beer in the background on the scoreboard. Probably was taken late in the day because you can see some of the shadows kind of impacting some of the imagery on this picture. But it's a pretty cool card, I think. And probably maybe one of the more popular cards in this set because it's sort of the staged action image, if you will. And it's still pretty affordable, actually. It didn't jump as much as I thought of some of his other cards. So we got Gil Hodges here in the corner. And then finally, the guy that's close to my heart, and because, I'm a White Sox fan, this one I thought was long overdue, was Minnie Minoso. Minnie Minoso had a career WAR of 53.8. Spent many parts having to play in Cuba and then partially in the Negro League, so he missed a lot of some of his early years of productivity to just not being able to be at the major league level, mostly because they were Major League Baseball is kind of following that unofficial rule of having not too many players of color in the league, even though it was the barrier had been broken, but not every team had a player of color, and some only would have one on a team. He's credited as being maybe the first dark-skinned Latino X player that was able to actually break into the major leagues. It's believed to be, I don't know that to be absolutely true, but I was reading some stuff on him, and that's what they're saying. But he definitely was the first player of color to be able to play for the Chicago White Sox when they brought him over from the Cleveland Indians. That's where he started his career for a little bit, was with Cleveland. Didn't get a lot of playing time there, and then was brought over by the White Sox and just took off from there. A multiple-time All-Star, Gold Gloves, you name it. Was second in the rookie year voting when he came up. Was also in the MVP award voting for several years with the White Sox. He was a big cog of the Chicago White Sox teams during the early part of the 50s, and then came back for portions of it in the 60s, but missed the 59 team. He was with Cleveland when that happened. So I got a few things from Minnie. I think I've shown him here before, but I got an autograph card of his on 1963 Topps during his little bit of time we played for the St. Louis Cardinals, which is kind of funny because he has a card there, even though I think he only played a total of 39 games with the St. Louis Cardinals. But the autograph on there is pretty darn solid on there. And it doesn't cover his face, and it's pretty legible. It's a pretty nice looking card just in general because it's a 63 Topps set, which is one of the better designs, I think, of the 1960s. Now we're moving into the 50s, and I'm going to go with the one loose card I have of his, and that's the 1955 Bowman. Mine's got a little bit of a crease in the middle on here, but I didn't pay a lot for it at the time I picked it up. So that's one of the older ones that I have of his, but not the oldest card I have of his. We have the 1956 Topps from his. This was a gift given to me by my buddy Ravi. So I'm pretty happy to have this in the collection. I think at the time I got it, he wasn't in the Hall of Fame, and I'm not sure if we ever thought he might get in. So it was pretty cool that he's been able to get in ever since then. It's a really high quality image of him. It's centered pretty well. It's just the corners, and I think the surface has some wear on here that kind of brought down the grade, but that's fine with me. I really enjoy this card, and I enjoy 1956 Topps in general. And then finally, the one I've kind of featured on the show a lot, because I started my channel with this one, and I'll end this video with this one as well, is the 1953 or 52 Bowman Minnie Minoso rookie card. He does have a Topps rookie card, as I mentioned before. That one, at some point, I'll probably want to be able to pick that up in my collection. But I was able to pick this one up shortly after his induction at a price I thought was really competitive, and I was happy to win it at auction. So hope you guys enjoyed this. Congratulations, obviously, to all the inductees, especially the ones that are still around with us today, to be able to accept and do their nomination, or accept their being inducted into the Hall of Fame and give speeches today. I look forward to kind of watching them later on when I'm able to watch it, because I don't have MLB Network. Have a great week. I hope everyone is able to enjoy the rest of their afternoons, and I will see everybody soon.